I like the velocity of money, you know. The faster you make your money, the faster you can put it somewhere else. And money likes to move fast. And the faster you move that money, the more money you make, the more ROI you make. One of the key to grow a business, it's finding key people, and I was lucky with that. I was like, I want that number of people, I want to do that much transaction, I want to have that much money. Boom, I got it. So I'm like, oh my God, what's the next step? You have to have another vision afterward, and you have to keep growing, because that's one of the 6 human needs according to Tony Robbins. You have to grow. That's super important.
You walk through every property you purchase before closing.
Yeah, because there's only 2 houses that I've not visited in my entire career, and there were both bad deals. So I just need to tour the house. Maybe one day I won't, but well, honestly, when maybe a year or 2 from now, my acquisition will be very, very good, and I won't have to tour the house. But right now, he's very good at finding the market value, but he still has a little bit of improvement to do with renovation.
On costing and doing
the cost of renovation is extremely expensive these days, plus the delay and everything. So you sometimes you miss the balls with the renovation. So especially the house that needs renovation, I really want to tour them. Unless I have a buyer before the visit, and the buyer is super happy, put his deposit, he wants to go ahead with the house, then I don't need to visit it, because I won't buy it. So then
you said before that you did like 20 flips last year and you wholesale 65. Yep. What's going to make you choose between, obviously, other than the price and the deal there? What's going to make you choose a property to say, okay, this one I want to flip it, I don't want to wholesale it?
That's a good question. I do the numbers on a house. And when I do the number on the house, I come up with the wholesale price. Like, okay, let's say that the house, I can make $80,000 by flipping it. Then I'm going to ask for 40 to wholesale it. And if nobody wants it, I'll buy it. And if someone wants to buy it for 40,000, I'll be happy, because I'm not taking the risk. Yeah. So that's how I choose. So I take the leftover.
Yeah. Hey, and you said like there is 2 houses that you didn't visit and it was a bad deal. Why were those a bad deal? Was it just foundation cracks?
That's a good question. There's one specifically that I remember, which is in Saint-Bruno. And it was a house that I didn't visit. My partner back then visited the house, and I told him, like, Saint-Bruno is a place where they have foundation issue. So be sure that they have tested the foundation, and I want to see the result. But the seller was like, nah, don't worry, it's fine. There's no problem there. And I told him, like, double check, because it's Saint-Bruno and it's risky. Next thing you know, offer is accepted. He put a deposit, and I come and visit the house. I was like, well, we have foundation issue. So now we're stuck with it. So I didn't lose money on that one, but I started renovating, and it was a pain in the ass, and I sold it mid-renovation for cost price.
Yeah. Okay. So not a winner.
No, I knew I wasn't making any money on this, but I had it. So I was doing it. And as I do normally, I always put it like a for sale by owner small sign on the front yard as soon as I buy the house. Because, if someone passed by and wants to do the renovation, well, please take it away from me and buy it, because I don't want to do the renovation.
That's a really good trick, actually.
Do you have your own team, Olivier, or you,
yes,
you
I have
deal
a
with
full-time
contractors? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I have a full-time contractor that works for me. So, I just move it from one house to the other one. So I like to have at least one house in renovation every time, just to give him, something to work on. And that's also another point about renovation is, if it's a big renovation, I try to wholesale it, because I'm not a renovator. I'm not a contractor. I have a contractor, but I'm not a contractor. So I prefer doing deals, doing wholesaling, concentrating on marketing, my team, and the seller, the buyer, instead of focusing on renovation, because it's really, really time consuming renovation, and there's always surprises, there's always delay, and it's always costs more than what we plan. So I don't like renovation, but if I have to do it, I'll do it, and I'll do it clean, and I'll do a nice job, and people are happy. It's just, I mean, I like the velocity of money. You know, the faster you make your money, the faster you can put it somewhere else, and money likes to move fast. And the faster you move that money, the more money you make, the more ROI you make. So I like money moving fast. So that's why I like wholesaling.
And renovation is fairly slow, depending on the scope of work. And as you said, it's over time, over budget, and stuff like that. Whereas if you can just wholesale and just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, I mean, you can make your money turn 8 times a year rather than 3 times or 4 times on flips. Exactly.
And don't forget that I fill up a place where nobody is, because contractor, they like doing renovation, and that's their job, and they want to find flip. So then they don't have to work for someone else. They work for themselves. They renovate the house and they sell it. So they like what I provide also. So I'm really providing a service that sellers like, because they don't want to sell with a realtor and they want to have the hassle of the transaction. And I also fulfill the need of the buyer, because they want to have houses that are already negotiated, that are ready to flip. And that's their specialty. That's what they do. They renovate. So I'm put myself right in between those 2 needs, and I fulfill it. So that's also a really good, really good point.
And that's a good segue, because you've clearly like dominated this sector, and since the beginning. Like, what do you think made you so successful?
A bunch of things. First thing first, I have mentors that taught me the way. I have a really good team, honestly, and I'm really lucky, because I find really, really good people, and that's one of the key to grow a business. It's finding key people, and I was lucky with that. In my point of view, I think that, because I was growing and I wanted the business, I had everything in my head, and then, the universe just kind of fulfilled whatever I had in my head. Because I was dreaming of exactly what I have right now 3 years ago. Wow. Exactly what I have right now. Numbers, people, everything. I was like, I want that number of people. I want to do that much transaction. I want to have that much money. Boom, I got it. So I'm like, oh my God, what's the next step? But I dreamt about this, and I was like, I'm not going to let go. I need this. I want this like so badly. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I did it. And it was hard, honestly, because I lost money here and there. I did, a partnership that wasn't working, up until the point where I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to go on my own, and we'll see whatever happens. And then, boom, that guy calls me, which is now my acquisition manager. And then, boom, my girlfriend starts to work with me. And then, boom, a guy from Toronto calls me. And he's like, I have all these leads in Montreal, and I don't know what to do with them. And I was like, give it to me. I'm going to close them. And then next thing you know, I hired a transaction coordinator, and then I hired a virtual assistant, and then I have a lead manager now. I'm like, that it's all coming up. But I had this idea in my head. So it's not one thing, it's a lot of keys together.
It's a lot of small moving parts that you were able to like put one after the other to make it a successful chain.
Exactly. That's what my mentor always tells me, like small incremental steps. It's not like, don't go too far away, don't go too high, don't go to something you don't understand. Like small incremental steps every day. Just like Tony Robbins is saying, like 1% a day.
Baby steps.
Exactly.
You do some buy and hold also, or are you really just flip?
I do buy and holds, although tenants are not my thing. I don't really like tenant, honestly, because because I bought this duplex and I had all the tenants from hell. So I'm not a fan of tenant, but I do buy and hold. I just bought a 9-plex a few months ago, and I have a condo in the Old Port. I don't even own my own house right now. I'm looking for one. It's just the market is so crazy that I haven't found one. But I do buy and hold. The biggest challenge I had with buy and hold is obviously I was close to losing everything 2016. So I had no money, no revenue, nothing. So I couldn't get a loan from the bank. And, you know, if you know how it works, you know, then you do your declaration, and then the year after you can't do anything. And then you do the other declaration. So it's always like 2 or 3 years after. The effect goes like 2 or 3 years after. So I had to, you know, carry that heavy bag for like 2 or 3 years, and I couldn't buy anything. So that was a hard part. But since last year, business is, you know, is doing well. So I have, you know, good income statement. So then I can buy more now.
And just out of curiosity, like, how does it work for financing? Because by now, like, your portfolio is loaded like on the short term. How do you finance that? Is it private lenders? Is it conventional? How do you go about it?
Hard money. Hard money is the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. Easy. Hey, I have this deal. Boom, here's the money. Okay, good. Yeah. Like it's so easy. And people are saying, wow, you're paying like 10, 12%. Yes, I'm paying 10 and 12%, but I don't have any penalties. I don't have to, work for 3 days, getting my paper together and then wait for 3 weeks to know if I have financing or not. It's right away. So it's super fast. So that helps a lot. So what I estimated that if you're doing a deal for 3 to 4 months, it's better with hard money than a bank. Mm-hmm. Because obviously banks don't like 3 to 4 months, so they're just going to put you on their blacklist and you're not going to be able to, get a loan from them. So if you're doing a deal for 3 to 4 months, all the way up to 6 months, it's better with hard money. If you're doing 6 months and more, then it becomes better with the bank. But there's, specific situation that you can't have a bank. So hard money is my best friend right now. All of my flip, all with the hard money. And obviously my buy and hold are different. I got one with the bank. I got one with the half with the private, half on seller financing until I optimize it. So, by the way, funny thing is those 2 deals that I bought, one last year, the condo, and this year, the 9-unit, I did both creative financing and I barely put money out of my pocket on both.
When you do your wholesaling, because you solicitate a lot of people and you buy obviously a lot of properties, like you said before, are you able to get in that creative side, like with seller financing and stuff like that? Is it something you guys talk about, or you don't want to look at that avenue knowing you're going to wholesale the property?
That's a really good point. If the 80% doesn't work, then I try to tell them about seller financing or any other creative thing, just like the condo, which was supposed to be a flip. And she wanted a little bit more than what I wanted to pay. So then I just told them, like, well, do you want to do creative financing? And she was like, well, what's that? So then you have to explain. And it's hard to understand when you don't know the numbers, you don't work with real estate, you don't work in financing. So you have to teach people. So you have to meet them and take time to teach them. So that's the hard part about it, is that you have to take a lot of time to explain them clearly so that they understand how it works and that, nobody's taking advantage of them. It's just a creative way. We're taking advantage of the bank, not them. But when they understand that, yes. And yes, to your point, yes, I do trying to get creative financing if I can't get the house at 80%.
Okay. Wow, man, you have so inspiring. I know some people are going to be listening to this thinking like, how does this guy manage to do like that many transactions? And we were just saying before we started, you did a post on Facebook yesterday. You celebrated how many transactions?
275 now.
That's in the 5 years that you started.
Well, no, since I started in 2009, so 13 years ago.
Okay.
It's been 275 transactions, but honestly, like the big, vast majority of it was in the past 3 years.
Yeah. So everyone, let this be an inspiration If Olivier can do it, you can do it too. You just need to gear up. You need to educate. You need to get some good coaching, and you need perseverance. Because what we hear throughout your stories, you just didn't let it go. You had an idea, and as you said, like I had a vision, and right now I'm exactly where I wanted to be. And to kind of conclude, like, how good does it feel to have actually achieved what you had dreamt of?
That's a good question. Honestly, I thought it would feel better. I'm a little bit disappointed, but
it's only the beginning.
I'm really happy about where I'm at right now. Honestly, obviously, I look back and I'm like, holy shit! Like, wow, I did it. It's exactly what I envisioned 3 years ago. But it feels the same, like as if I was taking an old lady by the hand and just, making her walk across the street. It feels good, but then you turn around and you're like, what's next?
Yeah.
So you have to have another vision afterward, and you have to keep growing, because that's one of the 6 human needs, according to Tony Robbins. You have to grow. That's super important. So that's why I'm going back to the States actually next week to talk with those people and trying to keep growing the business.
Yeah. Wow.
So people, download this show and listen to it 20 times again. Great content.
Again and again. And by the way, if you want to sell your house, it's called iBuyHousesMontreal.com. If you want to buy flip, if you want to buy my wholesale and do the flip, go on Montreal. It's Montreal Off Market. In French, though, it's MontrealHM.com. And you just fill up the form, and you're gonna have email every time I find new deals. It's about 2 a week right now, so you're gonna have 2 deals a week that you can choose, and you can buy to flip. So that's a really good opportunity. Also, if you don't want to look, you want to prospect deals, you just want to buy them and flip them, I have a shit ton of them.
Okay, and I'll make sure to re-listen to it, take it down, and put it in the show notes, so people listening know exactly where to reach out to you in case they want to sell quickly, or if they want to buy a wholesale so they can do maybe their first flip. And that would be a great place to look, because a lot of people ask me, like, where do you find deals right now? How should I go about it? Even if just to do a little flip, or maybe just buy it, renovate it, and they can keep it long term. They don't necessarily have to flip it. They could hold on to it and could be their first transaction. So that's a great place to start. Thanks for sharing that, Olivier.
And honestly, I was asking the same question, like, how is it possible to find that many deals? And like I told you earlier, 160,000 transactions in the greater Montreal last year. So think about 1% of that. 1% of that is 16,000. So there's about 16,000 deals available for you guys. 16,000. So there's deals
Olivier
everywhere.
Did 100 last year. He's going to probably do 200 this year. So there's like 15,800 left. For the rest.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's plenty for everybody.
Yeah. All right, man. This was super inspiring. Thank you so much, Olivier, for participating today. To everyone listening, as usual, please share this episode. I know it's going to be impactful for a lot of people out there. So think of 3 friends who are interested in doing their first flip or their wholesale, and send it to them. Leave us some comments, send us some feedback, subscribe to the show, and of course, tune in next week for another episode. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.